from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today I'm very pleased. Joining me from Dubai, Soha Ashrafian. Soha, she's the co-founder of Temis. Usually I don't like to talk much about my guests. I keep it to them to introduce themselves. So Soha, thank you very, very much for being here with me on the show today. I get a little bit excited when I have someone from Dubai. Majority of the time people are coming from outside. But without further ado, tell us a bit more about you, your journey, and what you're currently up to, and then we're going to start the discussion from there. So the floor is yours.
Hello, Mehmet. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here as your guest, and I hope we have interesting conversation together today. So, if I want to actually start about my journey, I would like to start from very beginning.
Sure.
I was born in Iran, Iranian family, where my father had a very traditional mindset, about raising girls. It was like the traditional mindset that, okay, we have, they own the decisions of their own girls until they find a husband for them and pass this decision, this responsibility to someone else. I grew up in the society like that in Iran that was kind of male-dominated society. But Iran at that time was something between the modern and traditional, transition. So in the same time, my dad was like pushed me and my sister to study different books. And she liked us to study different books. So from a young age, I immersed myself in books and magazines. And I started reading different biographies from great people like Marie Curie, Steve Jobs, different entrepreneurs and different inventors in the world. And they became my window to the world without limitations. I just look at the world like an American teenager look at the world. I didn't see the limitation that actually were around me. So I grew up imagining myself as an inventor and entrepreneur, even when reality around me felt more restricted. That's what led me to study aerospace engineering in university, in one of the top universities in Iran, because I was obsessed with the idea of building a flying car, which is kind of weird now that I'm thinking about it, but I still have that dream as well. But along the way, I realized that I truly love, my true love was building businesses. So I changed my major from aerospace engineering to, business. And at 21, I launched my first company in Iran. And over time, actually, I started my first company with zero money and zero experience and zero knowledge. I only had a startup idea for a platform, which failed. And we pivoted from that idea to a digital marketing agency. And over the next 3 years, I could work with more than 1,000 clients across 70 countries from Iran, which is kind of weird also because Iran has so many limitations and restrictions. And I'm not sure if you know about it or not, but we are not allowed to do money transferring with other countries and something like that. So it was so many barriers along the way, but we could manage to work with more than 1,000 clients over 70 countries from Iran. Since then, I've built multiple ventures, a digital marketing agency, and we registered it in Dubai, a beauty brand with innovative devices, a mobile gaming business that I invested on it, and recently a a startup platform that is on its early stage. So my past has really been about taking that imagination I had as a child and turning it into a real tangible ventures. And in my past, I forgot to mention that I studied 2 years in Italy in Master of Business also during the process of launching different ventures and registering my companies in Dubai and something like this. So yeah, here's a short bio about myself.
Great. I love to hear these stories. So, especially, from women, because we need to empower more women to be entrepreneurs. So I'm a big believer in this. Despite, all, the difficulties, and you mentioned some of the obstacles that you have faced, and both are, you didn't choose. Some of them, maybe they came down the road later. But yeah, so it's a fascinating story. It's like a source of inspiration indeed. Now, you mentioned like showing interest in multiple things, and then you picked up, you know, being an entrepreneur, right? So, did you know that time, when you started it and you told me like it failed and then you had to pivot, but like, were you just knowing what you're doing and it's fine if not? Or did you know like, okay, it's not an easy path? Because there is a saying that goes like, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. So
Yeah.
did you know this fact before you start? And, at any stage, did you say, you know what, I think this entrepreneurship is not for me? Like, maybe I should go back and find something else. So, this phase for you, how was it? Did you know, what's waiting you ahead of time?
Um, yeah. Um, Actually, I didn't know that if entrepreneurship is for me or not. But there was a time in my life that I started my first business at 21. Um, and everybody told me I shouldn't do that, my family,
Mhm.
my friends, and everybody were against that. The society tried to push me back. And everybody were trying to tell me that it's not a right path for stars. You have to be employee. You have to at least start couple of years being employee, and after that, maybe if you gain some, skills, some knowledge, you can go and start your own business. But I decide so fast, so I already started that before I let anyone consult me about it.
Yeah.
So I was in the middle of the way when they started to telling me you cannot do this. So I didn't have any choice unless I become successful. Because if I fail after I started it, I never had a chance to start it again. I knew that if I fail now, my family won't let me start another business anymore. And the society and the people around me never will believe me again. So I didn't have any choice. And for the first year, it was like I could make enough money to survive. It wasn't enough money. I didn't make that much money. And I had to pretend like it's good because I didn't want to people push me out of it. I didn't want people tell me, I told you it wasn't work.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was so many moments that I thought I wish I started just being employee because the path, as you know, is not easy. There are so many barriers, so many obstacles. As a girl, there are so many more. As a Iranian girl, it's huge.
Yes.
And but I didn't have any choice. I had to continue just the path I started.
Yeah. So this is I mentor fellow entrepreneurs, and one of the things that I tell them you need to have is you need to have this determination, right, and passion, and you need to have this resilience also as well. So looks like you had it by nature, and of course, maybe of course the experiences you passed through, empowered you to stay because, and this is, I'm not sure if I should say fortunately or unfortunately, it happens across all cultures, but especially for us people in this region, regardless of the country. Like it can be Iran, it can be Turkey, it can be, So, oh yeah, like you're gonna study, finish university, you're gonna work either as a government officer, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be maybe a doctor or engineer, and that's it, right? And we
Exactly.
had, yeah, we had generations, who were raised like this, like, oh, like don't take risk, calculate everything. Yeah, we need to calculate the risks, but we need to take risks sometimes. And I think you did fantastic on there. Now, you mentioned you started a couple of ventures. So from gaming, marketing, beauty. Uh, what was the common theme, that brought you in starting these ventures? Was it something you were curious about? Like, was it, maybe something that attracted you? What was that
Mhm.
exactly?
Actually, I was always in love with searching and diversifying what I'm doing. Um, I always was interested in different businesses and in different industries. And on the surface, they might they might look unrelated, but the common thread has always been the same in business for me. I mean, marketing, distribution, and making sure the business is not just profitable, but stays profitable. It's the, I think, main point of starting a business and make it successful. Marketing, distribution, and keeping the business profitable. So I think it doesn't matter which industry you start. If you can be good at these kind of things, you can work in any different industry. Of course, you have to have knowledge about those industry, or you have someone in your team that has enough knowledge about that industry to consult and to perform something and to bring connection to the team. But one thing that really made a difference for me was having the right partner in the business that I was starting. I'm a marketing brain, I love creating new channels, experimenting with ideas and getting things off the ground. But I'm not the best at scaling and keeping the business alive over the long run because I'm not someone who continues things over time. That's where my partner shines. Together, we balance each other out. I start and push, and he sustains and scales. And that balance has been a huge part of why we've been able to build and grow across so many different ventures. And, working in different industries has its upside and downside in a same time. I mean, when you start working in a different industry, there are so many things that you don't know about that industry. But it's so interesting to learn for me, at least. There are so many new people with different mindset, with different challenges, and I love to just go into new challenges. And maybe this is not the best business decision for people to take to go through different industry and work through different industry, because if you stay in one industry and go deep on that and work on that, you create new connections, you learn new things, and you can be one of the best on that industry. But for me, it's like, okay, before 30, maybe I can learn new things from different areas. So after that, maybe I choose one to continue for the rest of my life. This is what I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah, so to me, when you're talking, like you had, the spirit of being a serial entrepreneur, by nature, because some of the successful entrepreneurs, there are like two types I've seen. Like there are the ones who start what they call it iconic companies, and they, stay in the company that they started it, until they're gone, right? And there are the ones which are also not to be like underestimated, like yourself, who loves to start things. So there are people who their areas where they are strong is to start things from scratch and take it to the next level, right? And this is what we call them, the serial entrepreneurs. Now, you mentioned a couple of things, and it's just sorry, it's a question that came to my mind now. But from what you mentioned now, so if you had, very limited budget, right? And you can prioritize one thing only, which one you would prioritize more? Is it the brand, the product, or the distribution and the growth?
Um, I think if I had choose only one thing, I chose distribution and marketing because when I want to start a new idea and start a new business, I just try to figure out what can be its MVP. And you know what is MVP? Is minimum
Yes.
viable product. For the people who don't know, it's the minimum thing that you can provide as a product or a service, and you actually release it into the market and see how people react with it. So the first thing first is creating a MVP. I don't care that the MVP is good, is bad. You just have to present it in the best way you can. And you have to define it very wisely. I mean, can you name a business idea for me? Give me a business idea. We can do a game with that.
Okay, nice. Any domain?
Yeah.
Business idea. Yeah, you surprise me. Rarely, I love when my guests ask me questions, which um, let's say a marketplace for event organizers.
Okay, perfect. Imagine you want to create a marketplace for event organizers. So one side are event organizers and one side are companies or people who want to have an event and are looking for event organizers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you have two choices. First, go and develop a website and try to create a beautiful UI, try to develop a very good website with a very complicated, codes and UI and UX and immerse yourself with this kind of things. And the second way is to have an MVP on that, which is a very simple landing page. And it says what your idea is about. Okay?
Yeah.
You have a landing page, you explain what is the main idea, and you start launching advertisements on that landing page. So you put $100, $200 on that landing page and see people like the idea or not. People go to, for example, event organizers go to sign up the forums. Are they interested in being on a platform? Are the people that are the other side go sign up the form for finding their event organizers? You have to make it as simple as possible. And with less than $500, you have to be able to test an idea in 48 hours.
Right.
And after that, it works or it doesn't work. If it works, you go and create the platform. If it doesn't work, you try to improve the idea. You try to improve the actually MVP to see it works or not, because it might be your MVP is so poor so that people didn't respond. So you have to try twice, 3 times and see it works or not. If it doesn't work, you didn't spend that much money on a website, on a marketing, on anything else, and didn't put that much time and effort on that before you know that it's really that something is needed in the market or not. So yeah, I think I forgot what was your question, but I think it's thanks for that.
No, actually, you answered it because I asked you what do you prioritize? Is it the brand, the product, or the
Oh yeah.
distribution? And absolutely, you nailed it. Because this example, so people might say like, what's the relation? So what you just described is like the first thing you should be doing, which is basically kind of a marketing, putting your idea for test, right? And this is even
Exactly.
even before you started the actual business. A lot of mistakes that happen here that I've seen personally, and although like this is the nature of us humans, like we see things, and we know like they might go wrong direction. A lot of people say, hey, like don't go, which is, see, don't get me wrong, I like people to try things, maybe they will succeed, I don't know, but I mean
Yeah.
it's very well known, especially for starting up a business, you need like the MVP as you described it, and then like if it's not something technical, maybe the idea that I mentioned is little bit you can do kind of an MVP, but maybe sometimes it's not feasible to create a even landing page. I tell people,
Mhm.
okay, there's another way of doing this MVP, which is
Exactly.
basically go offline, the old-fashioned way, and have a notebook with you and a pen and go ask people, stop them, if you are planning, for example, because I get this question a lot, like go on the corner of the mall that you are deciding to open shop there and ask people, would you stop here if I had this concept? Just
Mhm.
simple, right?
Yeah.
And so I know like some people, they also think, oh, someone will take my idea and they will do it. What
Copy that.
what you
Yeah.
tell these people, Suha?
I'm telling them that the idea is $1. The worth of an idea is $1 only because the world is full of ideas, very great ideas that people couldn't implement yet. And the worst of an idea is the implementation. So don't worry about your idea being copied or something like that because it's just not like that. People are not looking for it. Everybody has so many ideas in their mind to start a business, and the thing that make difference between a successful business and a failed business is not a good or bad idea, is a good or bad implementation. you know we start same thing today, one of us gets failed, one of us gets succeed, and it's about the
Ab-
implementation.
Absolutely, like it's all about execution. And I tell people, look, like there, and especially nowadays, we cannot find really, I mean, very rarely we see new businesses which are unique as ideas. We always see a business which is enhancing something existing with some, of course, special touch. So yeah, ideas are words, and words are nothing without putting them to be on action. I want to stop a little bit on the marketing still here. Um, and you do it very well, and I can see from even talking to you here today, Soha. uh Storytelling, how much is important, and why, especially when you are still new, you should avoid being in the selling mode and go to storytelling mode, sorry.
Yeah, of course. I think, actually, I don't think the statistics says when you start with telling a story, you increase the chance of selling your product or services goes higher with 80%. And it's like people just like to hear stories. They
Right.
don't like to be presented, and they're seeing advertisement every day, everywhere, every second, and they're just tired of seeing advertisement and to hearing the product pitch, services pitch, and something like that. So you have to play with their feelings, and it happens through a storytelling, I think. The storytelling is something that can go beyond their soul. It can go through their memory and stick in their mind. And it is something that can actually touch them. So it goes beyond marketing, of course, and it's something that can stick in with them for a longer time than a simple advertisement. Of course, a simple advertisement can lead to sale, but it doesn't stick with people. It doesn't stay with them. It doesn't stay in their mind, in their heart. So if you want to create a brand, if you want to have a company to sell products, you go direct. But if you want to create a brand, it's important that people feel connection with your story of your brand.
Right. And I know, like when I was preparing for the episode, like you talk about like good marketing is not about being seen, it's about being remembered. And I think this is exactly, um, I tell people like if you want to have, of course, you are the expert, so and this is why they need to come to people like yourself to work on their branding. But I tell people if you want to go and understand, an an ultimate scenario, or if you want to see an idol, at least for me, right? And someone who you mentioned, you read his biography, is Steve Jobs, right?
Yeah.
Um, when he launched, there's a famous video you can go and find on YouTube, like when he's talking to his team, launching the Think Different, campaign, and you want people. In one of the things, of course, I'm rephrasing what he said. Like you need people to remember you. Actually, remember not what you do. You need them to remember how they feel when they interact with your product or services, right? So, for example, he was giving the example of Nike, right? And like even you as a consumer, you remember the athletes, not exactly the shoes, right? And the same thing, he brought it to something which people thought not possible, because when we talk about tech, we talk about megahertz at that time, now gigahertz, and bytes, and like how much speed it is. But he completed this, and honestly, I'm not sure, like I'm taking your opinion, Soha. I never saw a company that does this better than Apple till our day, at least in the electronics and technology. Do you think any company nailed it well also as well?
Um, Actually, there are some company in my mind, like for
Sure.
example, Nike that you mentioned, that like I don't know, Red Bull or some other company that are working great on this field. But yeah, Apple is something else. And every great advertisement that I remember from Apple is about the early years that Steve Jobs were in charge. Yeah, really, he was brilliant in marketing and branding and in the storytelling, of course. He just made people feel special with the commercial he created and feel, it's great that you make people feel special if they use your products. I think it's brilliant to do something like that, to make your products in a way, okay, if you are using our products, you are smarter than other, you are more special than other, and it's something brilliant that only he could do, maybe. Yeah, I agree with you.
Right, yeah. So of course, like I'm not saying like Apple is the only company, but like really, they put bar very high. And to your point, yes. So Steve Jobs has two phases. So his first phase is when he was much younger, but he did a crazy campaign against IBM at that time, and it was because he's very young and going and challenging a giant like IBM, right? In the 1982 ad, it's very famous. You can go, guys, and search it. And the second time when he was like more mature. He was like close to his 40s almost, and he had his second come back to Apple, and he launched the new campaign for the new Apple. Let's call it this way. And this brings me, Soha, to being creative and problem solving, right?
Mhm.
Um, so and let's do it by example. I'm liking, because you gave the example of the MVP and you asked me about business idea. So how we can, describe to us, a situation where you had to come up with a creative solution, and at the beginning it seems weird or unconventional, but actually it worked brilliantly.
Um, I actually don't have any specific example in my mind, but
Maybe not from you. Maybe
creativity.
not from you. Maybe from anything like you can share. Yeah.
Yeah, creativity to me is, I like to keep things as simple as possible. When I hit a problem, I don't try to over engineer the solution. I just test very fast. For example, I think even coming up with the idea of a good MVP before starting a business, before starting out the campaign, even it can be a good example of creativity because you have to see different aspects of a product, different aspects of the business, and you have to come up with a good idea for MVP, which in the same time that is like your final product for final business version, it has to be still simple and it has to be still actually developable by low
Uh-huh.
cost.
Yeah.
And it's like so it's an example of creativity for me. Come up with ideas that you can test something and don't over engineer things before you can make sure that the business idea would be successful and people really need it, people really are willing to spend money for it or not. And I think the problem that lots of entrepreneurs, especially the ones that comes with engineering background, has
Mm-hmm.
is they over engineer things. They come up with very complicated ideas and they think, okay, if it's so complicated, it would work. If people don't understand it, it works better, but yeah, but it just doesn't work. You shouldn't look at things from your engineer mindset. You have to look at things in the way that people see it. And you have to be able to come up with the simplest version of the business idea you can. So yeah, I define the creativity with making things as simple as possible. And it's also creativity for me also shows up in branding as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you come up with, for example, you have a very regular product and you come up with different packaging. You come up with different creative advertisements. You come up with guerrilla marketing idea. And something that happened, for example, for Dubai chocolate,
Yeah.
it wasn't anything special product wise, but the marketing idea behind it was brilliant, I think, and it could go viral. And yeah, in branding, it makes sense as well for me.
Um, Back to creativity and the branding at the same time, because I think especially when you start a business, maybe in consumer more than a B2B business. um, I tell people you need to expect. I'm not expert in B2C, by the way. I'm not expert in business to consumer, but I see things in the lens of a consumer, and I see what works. So people expect sometimes things to be perfect, as you said, from the first time. And I tell them, guys, like you, you should know that you're gonna do a lot of iterations until you nail it. And every time you take this feedback and you get something better. But people get stuck so on, okay, we are getting you, but it looks like so big for us, like it looks so complicated. So what maybe kind of something that worked for you that it make, these very big obstacles, or let's call them challenges, uh, that in our mind, because sometimes we are like also programmed somehow to resist and
Yeah.
not go and take the extra step. So what are like some of the things you utilize to break things down? I mean, to look like much easy. What can we do?
I think there are some steps that you can do. First, think what is your core value? I mean, imagine you are going to launch an application. Imagine you are going to launch an, I don't know, you are going to create a agency, for example. Okay, what's the uh, core value of your agency? What is your main offer that you are going to offer to other people? It starts with that. It starts with the core value. And then go to people, as you said, go person by person, or go through landing page and advertisement through social media. Um, I think first you have to find out what is your core value. Some businesses say, I've heard from young entrepreneurs that say, okay, my business it starts to meaning when all the features are together. And I'm telling them you don't have any idea because your idea have to have a core value. If it doesn't have core value, your idea is not good enough, you know? And when you find out the core value, it starts to writing some competitive advantage for that. Something that your core value has and other competitors in the market don't have. And it starts to create some advertisement for that. This is what I'm doing. I don't know, maybe there are so many other ways, but I'm doing this. It starts writing some advertisement for that. It starts creating some posters, some videos for that. And it costs nothing in compare with starting a business, hiring some people, developing something. It costs nothing. Just some simple posters with some simple copies on it and one simple call to action. And see how many people click on your poster, how many people are really interested in your product, and how many people go and invest time on the landing page you created, on the products that you think it works. You can define some simple steps that how many people really interact with the idea you have and how many people push the buttons. It gives you very good idea that the market really needs your product, your service or not.
Absolutely. Uh, so you're giving really me at least, and I'm sure the audience, you have this acumen of being a real entrepreneur, and like you did it at a very young age, and you're still young, of course. But if you want to go back and warn your younger self, if you want to, you are today as Soha, you want to go back to when Soha was like just starting her first business, and you want to warn her about one thing in entrepreneurship. Not tell her don't go and do it, but you want to warn your younger self about something and say, hey, like you need to take care of this. What would be?
Um, I think I was fearless, but I encouraged myself to be more fearless even. You know, in somehow I scared of people opinion always. I scared to be bold. I scared to be loud. I scared to come up with my opinion in the around the table when all the other people were men maybe. And if I go back, I would be more brave. And I have to work on it until now. Um, I encourage people to be bold and brave and to know that uh, they are the one that have to take responsibility in their life, and other people opinions doesn't matter because other people opinions won't pay their bills and won't pay for their tickets for traveling, for anything else. So just work for themselves, do whatever they think is right for them.
Yeah, this is a great advice. And yeah, to be you said you were not like afraid of trying, which is, this is why I applauded you at the beginning and your story. But yeah, being fearless, of course, like, no, this is for the fellow entrepreneurs. Yeah, I know, like, the past would not be easy, but yeah, like, be consistent also with what you're doing. um where do you see, like, the biggest opportunities for, marketers and creators, especially, who are based maybe here in Dubai and, in the MENA region, in the next, especially, with AI now and all these things coming. So I'm not asking you what should we fear about AI. I'm asking you what, not necessarily only AI, from AI and other perspective, opportunities ahead for marketers and creators in our
Yeah.
region.
I think the thing that we have to be more focused on with emerging the AI these days is to try to be more creative, to be ahead of the AI. AI is so creative nowadays, but it can't define the workflow still. It can define the approach that we have to be creative. So whenever we go over the time, the thing is we have to actually try be ahead of the AI with using it properly in marketing, in branding, and we have to learn about that and try to give it good orders to be able to actually use it as well as we can. And some people say, okay, we are afraid of it. Some people say we will lose our job. But I think with AI, marketing will develop a lot. Marketing would enter to the next phase and next areas. And what we have to do as marketers is just increase our knowledge about it.
Great. Of course, yeah, we should not be afraid again from AI. It can open a lot of doors. To your point, still, us humans, we have the upper hands for creativity. So, and, steering this AI, because I tell people AI doesn't work by itself. Of course, you can automate it to do things for you, but I mean, it doesn't put the plan. Still, us, the humans, we have to put the plan
Exactly.
for it. So as we are almost coming to an end, any final advice, word you want to share, and where people can get in touch with you?
No, thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you. It was really enjoyable conversation for me, and thank you for having me today. My Instagram, Soha_Ashrafian, is where people can connect to me, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Toha. I really enjoyed, it's an inspiring story. And thank you for being here with me today. So I appreciate that. So I will put, your social handles, they will be in the show notes. So if people, they are listening on their favorite podcasting app, if they are watching this on YouTube, they can also see this in the description. And this is how usually I end my episode. This is for my guests. So, if you just discovered this podcast by luck, thank you for passing by. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did so, give me a small favor, subscribe and share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you are one of the people who keeps coming again and again, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for making the podcast. I'm repeating this again and again, but we are trending. We are in the top 200 podcast charts across multiple countries in the Apple podcast platform. And, this is unseen. So since I started 3 years ago almost, this is the only year where we never missed a week without being at least in 2 to 3 countries, sometime 8. I'm aiming to break the record and having like maybe 9 or 10 countries at the same time. So this cannot happen without the support of you, my followers, my supporters, and of course my guests, including you, Soha. And as I say always, stay tuned for a new episode very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.